Running Sentences presents a bonus episode. The Lady and a Game. This is a work of fiction. Any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, real situations, and/or real events is purely coincidental. This story is written and narrated by Michael Honoré. Copyright 2022, Michael Honoré. All rights reserved. A sweet old lady wishes to tell you all about her latest adventure in exploring the world. This time, she's gone down to the local firehouse for a night of fun and games.
Oh, there you are, dearie. I was wondering when you would come by to talk to me. It's only been a couple of days, it's true, but you wouldn't believe what I've been getting up to lately. You've been telling me to get out more and go and do things, so that is what I did. There was an event at a local firehouse with games and such for one night because they needed to do something in the space, I guess. I don't know. Not that it matters if they needed the space for other activities, I guess. I don't really know. It was just a game night, maybe. I suppose it makes sense. The town wants to draw people in, and what better way to do that than an old people game night? I wanted to see what was going on and to know what these games were. I am a curious person after all, and you know all that all too well. Oh, the adventures I've had by simply getting on a bus to somewhere, sometimes not even paying for a ticket. But we will remain hush about that, right? Let's get back to the firehouse game night, though, shall we? I went Monday night early, since they had promised that they would have early bird dinner-style buffet for those willing to come early. Not the greatest food, but it was cheap, and cheap is cheap. Can't turn that down when you win a little money on the side to cover what you spend on these games. The place was already filled up with older people all looking about like hawks. They were on the hunt for something, at least that's the impression that I got from a couple of them. Some of the other ones, they were there simply to enjoy, I guess. They enjoy themselves, which is fine, even great. But those with that look, once you see those with that look, you know you're in for a fight. My engines were raring to go once I saw them, mind sharp like a tack ready to poke away at an opponent's resolution. Of course, this was after getting a few bites to eat, and the first game was being set up. I kept my eye out, though, since you never know who is going to be a challenger to anyone. There are plenty of sneaky good players who let their playing do the talking instead of looking like sharks. You can never trust them. You can sniff them out, though. They can't hide when you know what's going on around you. Listen to me rattling off about all of this. I am so sorry. Once I get going, I feel the need to tell people what's going on. And it was so fun. The first game, by the way, was an old classic one. Bingo. It is the game for games at Firehouse Nights, and I haven't played it in forever, so why not? It was gonna be fun, maybe. It wasn't gonna stop me, no. Not an old game I haven't played in a while. Not even the $50 fee could dissuade me from jumping in. These suckers would not even know what was going on when I walked away with money and wins. With the early dinner over, the workers who were holding the game night quickly rearranged the whole room, moving about the folding tables until it was all organized, and with one big table up front with a little ball drawing machine, I guess it was. Anyway, and then there were people in the back that had put up some prizes on the back table. I did breeze past that quick to see if there was anything good on it, but the rest of the elderly people were all crowding around it, gawking at it, so I couldn't really get a clear line of sight on the items. It didn't really matter. I was going to win, and that was fine. They planned for 5 bingo games for the night, but I knew I was going to win one, at least one, even if it took me all night. My seat settled, I organized myself ready to stamp those numbers with my marker the second they got it called out. The first couple of games were going to be simple ones. First to make a line and call bingo would win. Then the next 2 were shape games, and the final one a blackout game. Everything got set up and they were raring to go. All we needed were the people to run the game. they were running a bit late. Something to do with not liking the bathrooms, but that only let me get to know what was going on around me. I got to take in the table, a plastic thing made to look like wood. Uncomfortable to touch, but it was it's good to know what you're working with and what you're working on. The cards, the bingo cards themselves, were these thin things that probably wouldn't stand up to much pressure. Good to note, as I decided not to stamp on them hard for fearing of tearing them, and then those people who certify the cards, would likely say I have a bad card, and likely say that I was cheating, or something along those lines. I wasn't about to let my money go to waste. That only left the people around me to look at. I was sitting close to the front, but not the front, since I didn't want to look like an eager beaver. No. I had a table before me with a few old folk sitting there. None of them seemed to be the competitive type, which was fine. It was all good, Good to surround yourself with the right people. Though to my right, there was a youngster, well, younger than me, so he was young, I guess. Not terribly good looking, but he had that stench, that one that lets you know he's here to play. Seated to the left was a woman. Nice one, bit foreign looking, if you know what I mean. Not nice enough, but I don't think she knew what she was doing there, and I don't think she spoke English either. But, all types are all types, and I'll let them play if they want to play. The worst was yet to come, though, since there was an evil presence behind my back. It sent shivers down my spine with how intense this person was staring back there. I had to glance back to see this one. I wanted to know my competition, and I could clearly see with 8 cards and markers in both hands that this one was going to be quite a competition. He was not going to go down without a fight. Every muscle on them was tensed and ready to rumble. It was about this time, though, that they started calling numbers, and the ball handler up front began the process of making things tumble about and spit out a number. I wanted to look back to see this opponent of mine a bit more, but those numbers were far, far more important. They started coming out furiously, and the announcer was waiting for no one. 18, 25, 43, 4, and 75 were all read in a quick succession along with their letter combination. Good numbers. None of them were mine, though, but the people around me were busy stamping away. I began to panic, but held steady since it was only a matter of time before at least one of my cards began to show stamp marks. Another bunch of numbers went off, and this time I had a bunch of them, so I had to get busy and I couldn't really concentrate on those around me. After I got through the stamping of those, though, I did double-check the board that they were using to signify which numbers and letter combinations had been picked, just to be on the safe side, and once I was sure, I took a moment to look around to see where things were going on with those around me. Lots of people absorbed in their stamping of their numbers and not paying attention to the fact that there were people there to win. There were the sharks in the water hunting them down. I could spot them, though, since they too were busy glancing about the place, trying to get a lay of who and where they needed to attack. Those soon faded away, though, because they realized that others were on the lookout for one another. The only thing I didn't get to do before more numbers were called was look behind me once again. I'd forgotten in the moment, and I got caught up in the game. I wasn't afraid or anything like that to look back at the figure behind me. No, that wasn't it. It was the numbers being called. I had to concentrate if I was going to beat this mysterious figure. The first couple of games wouldn't matter one iota. No, it was going to come down to the last game, I could already tell. Another bevy of numbers were called out and I got to stamping, not wasting any more time thinking about the one behind me. Before I knew it, though, someone across the room declared themselves the winner. They were up in front in a flash, which was surprising for them being such a little old person, but it is what it is. The win, though, was certified and everyone settled back in for the second round after getting new cards. I moved quickly to get mine, and there were 3 lines of people all trying to get theirs. And then everyone was back to their respective seats in a hurry and a flurry of activity as it went onward. The second game was similar to the first and all over the place.
There was no time to think or take in opponents to see what they might be up to. You stamped your card as fast and as gently as possible, since there was no telling how well it would hold up. And that game, for all of this commotion, was over in an instant as well. Fast, furious game. New cards, new game for the third and fourth rounds of bingo. The third one, you needed to mark the cards in an H shape, either like a regular uppercase H, or if it was on its side. This game was also quick, fast-paced, with everyone stamping away. There was also a change in atmosphere. Everyone seemed now to be in the hunt for wins, as they were becoming scarcer. This H game went with a win to some other person who was a bit younger than the rest, a rapscallion of a person, if I had to say so. Their hair wasn't white nor grey, which was what I'm trying to say, rapscallion. But it didn't matter to me. I was setting myself up for that last game. The upcoming one, no one was paying much attention to. A box shape was required for the bingo, but no one cared, as more and more numbers were being called. Eventually, though, there was a winner, and all was set for this last game. This time, though, I didn't go right back to my table once I got my new cards. I was standing right by my seat to look at my major opponent, who was staring right back at me. A tall, dark, handsome man who could have whisked me away. Not that I would have let him, but, if the moment was right and nothing else was going on and he wasn't my mortal enemy playing against me, then maybe it might have worked out. I stared for a few seconds, and then we nodded to one another. Sitting down again, I spread out the bingo cards in front of me and waited for the numbers to start being called. All I needed was one card to be completely filled up on all spots for the win. This was going to be a war, though, since ever since that first game, the crowd had subtly whittled itself down. Now all that were left were those who really, really wanted to win, and would go out of their way to try and get that. B3 was the first number from the announcer, which set us all off with the heavy searches for which card might have that letter-number combination. There was already stamping going on to my left, and I had 2 cards with that combo, and I made sure to mark them. There was no time to think, though, as more numbers came. O, 65, I, 22, and G, 57 were all called in rapid succession. I was searching up and down my cards, looking for the numbers and trying to remember them before the next number got called. It was getting to be a lot, and I could tell I was going to fall behind if I wasn't careful. Things were flying, and I was stamping all I could with the numbers and letters going and going. Things were going by so quick I couldn't keep up. I stamped and checked numbers on the big board, trying all I could to keep track, but the more I tried, the further behind I fell. It was too much, and then I heard the dreaded, "I win!" It came from behind me, from that dreaded handsome man with all the swagger in the world as he sauntered up to the main table. All I could do was watch and admire him as my blood boiled. It should have been my win, but it was stolen from me along with 250 or so odd dollars I'd paid to play this game. There was a small cheer that went up from the front table, and all I could do was growl. Thwarted by my brand new enemy. But there were still games to play this night, and it was not a night that was done. But I will save that for another day. I won't make you listen to my entire night of having played games. But I will bend your ear sometime soon, but with more tales about this night. Have a nice night, sweetie. Talk to you soon. The end of A Lady and a Game. Thank you for listening.